Walker Buehler is done in 2023. What does this mean for the Dodgers rotation? We got some more injury updates. That's coming up next on Dodgers Dugout. Hey, what up, Dodgers Nation? D-Mac here. You can follow me on X, Instagram, and TikTok at DMac_LA. And if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor and subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel for all latest Dodgers news and rumors all year long. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if you really want to support the channel and you want to see us do more giveaways, be sure to hit that like button. And as always, I want your takes down below in the comment section. Today's Dodgers Nation question of the day: what is your reaction to Walker Buehler being done for the season? Do you think this was the smart move by the Dodgers and Walker Buehler? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you right now in the Dodgers pitching? Let me know down below. And for all latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. So after taking some big steps towards a potential return this season, Walker Buehler will not pitch in 2023. The Dodgers released a statement that read, "Today the Dodgers are announcing that right-handed pitcher Walker Buehler, who is recovering from Tommy John surgery, will not return during the 2023 season, with an eye toward coming back at the start of the 2024 campaign. My goal since last year has been a return to a major league mound this season," Buehler said. "After many conversations with my doctor, the Dodgers front office, training staff, and my family, we concluded that waiting until next season is the right course of action. I am disappointed that I will not be able to help this team go after a title in the 2023 postseason, but I look forward to returning fully healthy in 2024 and bringing another World Series to LA." So after months and months of speculation, where we saw Walker Buehler say earlier in the year that he wanted to return to the mound by September 1st, you saw him throwing on flat ground, you saw him throwing off a mound, you saw tons of social media posts. Well, it turns out that they decided to proceed with caution. They chose prudence in this situation, and it sounds like to me that they felt that, hey, we do not want to rush him back this year in the fear that he gets injured again and that we won't have him for the start of the 2024 season. And that is a very important year for Walker Buehler. Just to get you a little up to speed here, he's under team control through the 2024 season. So he'll enter free agency after next year. So if you bring him back this year in a limited capacity, he would come back as a starter, but he'd probably only go 3, 4, possibly 5 innings, and you're not getting full 100% Walker Buehler. And let's say he does get injured again. This guy has already had 2 Tommy John surgeries, and you're talking about a guy that has so much at stake, because if he comes back next year, he returns to form, he has a good year, he can set himself up for a nice payday. So I think this made sense for the player. I think this made sense for the team, because if you look at next season, Dustin May, you're not going to have him. Tony Gonsolin, you're not going to have him. Julio Urias, he's gone. Clayton Kershaw, he could retire. So if you look at this rotation, you're talking about a front line of possibly Bobby Miller and Walker Buehler. So I think when you consider next season and the fact that their big fish was going to be Shohei Ohtani, and Shohei Ohtani, he blew out his elbow. He will not be pitching next year. So I think you had to strongly consider the 2024 season. So I do think this was the right move by the Dodgers. But I will say that it's very interesting that they're saying, he pretty much did not have a setback. Did he have a setback in his rehab start? Because he looked good. He pitched 2 scoreless innings. The velocity was ramping up. He was close to his averages in 2021 and 2022. But I'm thinking maybe the bounce back wasn't right. Maybe he was a little sore longer than they had hoped, because you don't put a guy on a rehab start. You don't send him out to AAA unless you think they're going to try to fast track him back to the rotation. And he was expected to make a start tonight for OKC. He was going to make one more start after that. And after those 3 rehab starts, he was going to rejoin the Dodgers rotation in some capacity. So yes, there probably wasn't a major setback. I don't think there's anything there where he got re-injured or anything like that. But my guess is that they felt this was too much too soon for a guy that had Tommy John surgery last August. You're talking about someone that if he had completed the comeback, he would have made it back on the mound in around 13 months after he underwent Tommy John surgery last August. You're talking about 2 Tommy John surgeries. The first time he pitched in 451 days was last Sunday. That's almost 15 months and he did look good, but that is a lot of time missed, and that's a very, very fast recovery from Tommy John surgery. Typically, you're looking at 14, 15, 16 months, and when it's your second Tommy John surgery, it usually takes a little longer than that. So you got to give him a lot of credit. I commend him for trying to get back and help his teammates, and when you look at the current state of this rotation, they needed him more than ever, but that just was not going to happen. And if you heard Andrew Friedman a few weeks ago on a podcast, he said it was a long shot, and after Friedman said that, and he's someone that's very cagey with his information, so the fact that he was going that far, it led me to believe that this was unlikely, and I think that you got to give the player the benefit of the doubt in Walker Buehler, and just having that September 1st deadline that he gave himself, because he said early in the year that he was going to be back by September 1st, and then Doc, he said that was a little aggressive, but just by giving himself that, I think that probably sped up his recovery time, just giving him that goal so he can proceed with purpose every single day. So I think at the end of the day, the fact that he was chasing this could put him in a better position to get back earlier and be the Walker Buehler that we saw next season in 2024 when they are going to need him. It also makes me wonder if this had anything to do with how the Dodgers feel about their current situation. Because of the loss of Julio Urias, who was arrested on felony domestic violence charges, he's gone. You look at Noah Syndergaard, he was a bust this season. You look at Lance Lynn, he's homer prone again. He's been awful in his last 3 starts, to be frank. If you look at the state of this rotation, there's not a lot to feel good about. Clayton Kershaw, the velocity's down. He's still dealing with the effects of his shoulder injury. That's hurting his velocity. That's hurting his command. So maybe they think to themselves that, okay, even if Walker Buehler comes back, would that be enough? Is he the missing piece to this puzzle? Or do we just say, okay, let's put him on this shelf, let's proceed with caution, and let's do the right thing for the player and potentially the organization? Because I know people out there might view this as bad news, but is it bad news if you're looking at 2024? Is it bad news if you're Walker Buehler? In the long run, this made the most sense. So I don't fault him or the organization. I do appreciate the fact that you came out with this information as soon as possible. You didn't make that second rehab start, but don't tell me that the plan wasn't originally to bring Walker Buehler back. I think they wanted to dip his toes in the water, get his feet wet, have him make that first start, and then closely monitor the recovery time. And something tells me that it's a little sore longer than they had hoped. And on top of that, I do think the Dodgers have a responsibility to do what's right for the player. You're talking about a Walker Buehler that has a lot of money they can make next season. He could make a ton of bread if he has a good year. And if you want to ruin a loaf of bread, you take it out of the oven too early. I think he needs to go back in that oven, cook a little more, get back to 100%. We'll see you in 2024. We appreciate the effort, but it just did not make sense. So what does this mean for the Dodgers' current rotation? Because if we're being honest right now, the Dodgers' rotation isn't in a great place. They are in shambles to a degree when you consider all the developments of late. And when you look at this Dodgers rotation over the past few seasons, it feels like bad news is the only news that they've received. You date all the way back to 2021. They lose Dustin May to Tommy John. He hurts his arm. Then you lose Trevor Bauer to that situation. Then you look at losing Clayton Kershaw. He's unable to pitch in the postseason. Then Max Scherzer, he has the dead arm in the postseason. And then in 2022, you lose your ace in Walker Buehler. He has his second Tommy John surgery. Tony Gonsolin makes the All-Star team only to get injured. And when he returns, he doesn't look the same. Then the following year in 2023, Dustin May is back on the mound. He's emerging. He's pitching like an all-star. And then he gets injured again. He has flexor tendon and UCL reconstructive surgery. And then Clayton Kershaw, he was pitching the best that he had in years. He would have been the starter in the All-Star game. He gets injured, and since he's been back, he has not looked right. His velocity has dipped. The command has been bad. Noah Syndergaard was an absolute bust. Thor was a thud. He said he'd give up his firstborn child just to get back to his old form. That was weird. He's not even in Major League Baseball anymore. And then their opening day starter, Julio Urias, he's arrested on felony domestic violence charges. He's placed on administrative leave. He's done in Dodger blue. And then Lance Lynn, who had a couple really nice starts after they traded for him, he's been a disaster of late, giving up home run ball after home run ball. He's given up 40 home runs this year. He served up 40 bumps. He made it to 40 home runs before Mookie made it to 40 home runs. That is how bad it is. Lynn's sanity has ended. So if you look at this starting rotation and all the adversity that they faced, all the turmoil, it's a miracle that they're still in first place. It's a miracle that they're still running away with the NL West. Somehow, some way, the Dodgers are 12.5 games games up on the division, and we're almost to mid-September. So they're going to win this division despite all the injuries, despite all the off-the-field incidents. And I think you can look at that as a positive and say, okay, that's a credit to the offense for carrying a lot this season, for Dave Roberts for managing. But how about some credit to the young pitchers stepping up? Bobby Miller being thrusted into a situation to where there's no doubt about it, he's the best starting pitcher on the Dodgers right now. He should be their game one starter. How about Ryan Pepiot, who took a perfect game into the 7th inning, and now since he's returned in 21 innings across 4 games, he has a .86 ERA. You're seeing the command has vastly improved. You're seeing the changeup, the slider that's more of a cutter right now. The changeup is as dirty as it's ever been. It's filthier than a gas station bathroom. I don't know if you saw my interview with Ryan Pepiot from a few weeks ago, but I told him, I said, hey, Ryan, I got you as my rookie of the year. I'm going to need you to throw a couple of perfect games to put yourself in that conversation late in the game here. So I don't know if he took that to heart and wanted to make that happen for the show, but I appreciate that. But hey, I could not be happier for Ryan Pepiot. I think this guy is 100% going to factor into this rotation right now. And I think you could make a case that Pepiot is pitching better now than Julio had pitched for the entire season. Julio Urias was having a down year. The home run balls were an issue. The velocity was down. The command was bad. So I think right now, I'm riding with the rookies. I'm all in on this youth movement. To me, I think, will they win it all with this group? Maybe they don't, right? Maybe their chances are worse now when you consider that Lance Lynn is looking like the bearded version of Noah Syndergaard. Ryan Yarbrough, he's still serviceable, but I think the best you can hope for from him is a solid 4 innings in a possible piggyback role with another one of the young starting pitchers. So I think for this team right now, you could be looking at a starting rotation in the postseason that consists of a combination of a Bobby Miller, maybe a Clayton Kershaw, if he finds a way to stay healthy and get right and get the command and velocity back to where it needs to be. Emmett Sheehan, I think, is someone who absolutely, unequivocally should factor into this postseason rotation. When you look at his fastball, I've been told that it is the most explosive 4-seam fastball in the Dodgers organization right now, and that is the kind of stuff that plays up in the postseason. The reality is, when it comes to velo, when it comes to just dirty, raw stuff, the young guys, the rookies, the young players have that more than the veterans that are currently on the team. So I think this gives this organization opportunity to see what they have in these young guys, to see what they need to do in the offseason. How aggressive do they need to be on the free agency market? Do they need to go after a Blake Snell? Do they need to try to swing some offseason trades, maybe bring in a Dylan Cease, maybe see if Corbin Burns is available? So I think that right now, considering where the expectations are, maybe this is the direction they need to go. Because, look, I have been told by sources that there is a decent chance that Clayton Kershaw, right now, if this is where he is at and he doesn't improve, that there's a decent chance that he will retire after this year. That is what I've been told, at least right now. That could change. He could turn things around. And I think if Clayton Kershaw feels in his heart of hearts that he can still be competitive and go out there and give you a solid 6 or 7 innings of 2-3 run ball, he's going to go out there and do that. I think ultimately he will, but right now it does not look good because this is someone that has dealt with back injuries, but now we're talking about a shoulder injury that's impacting his velocity. Last time his velocity was this low, back in 2018, his last start around 88 miles per hour was the lowest average on his heater since 2018. Well, after that start in 2018, he went on the IL for 3 weeks, and you can't do that now, right? You can't do that in this situation because you need to ramp up to get ready for the postseason. So ideally he comes back, gets close to 3,000 strikeouts. We want to see that, but still, I'm just telling you where it sits right now. And I think this organization, you got a lot of talent. I think Bobby Miller, Ryan Pepiot, I think Gavin Stone's pitched better of late. Michael Grove, he's going to be back. I think a 98 mile per hour fastball with a curveball could play up out of the bullpen. I think you could see him in some capacity. Look, let's get weird, man. Let's get weird. Maybe bring Kyle Hurt up, who could do something out of the pen, right? Let's bring these guys up that could help this team this year if you think that's the direction you're going to go. Because I think the key to this postseason run, it falls on the offense, right? You need the 1 through 6 to put up runs. And that brings me to the next big question, because we got some more bad news, and that, of course, is about Mookie Betts. And the latest on Mookie Betts, is that he will not be playing this weekend against the Nationals because of a foot injury. In his first at-bat on Thursday against the Marlins, he fouled a ball off the inside of his foot, and he did stay in the game. He reached base 3 times, had a couple of walks, and was hit by a pitch. He also played right field, but he did leave the stadium on crutches, and that is not good. He left the stadium on crutches, and Betts had an X-ray on Thursday night, and it did come back negative. However, Roberts said that Betts is going to get a CT scan in Washington on Friday and probably won't be back until Monday at the earliest. So hopefully there's nothing more to this, because if there's a hairline fracture in there, that could be absolutely devastating. That could be the death knell for this Dodgers team in 2023, because the recipe for their success, the formula for their success this year is to outscore opponents, to get this offense to get hot and carry this pitching staff that has a lot of youth that will, and to get hot and carry this pitching staff that's going to have a lot of youth and to get hot and carry this pitching staff that's going to have a Clayton Kershaw that's probably pitching in some form of diminished capacity and a lot of youth and inexperience. That is what you need. I see people out there, okay, Clayton Kershaw, because he has Kershaw on his back in number 22, that you're going to just expect him to be an ace in the postseason. Look, you cannot expect that. That's fanboy talk, okay? Hope is not a strategy there, right? You need to be realistic. And look, I think there is a world where so things start to click for Kersh late and he can be competitive, but to expect him to be a horse and carry this team, that's just unrealistic. And look, we've seen that Giants team. I mean, they made it through the postseason with 1 ace in Madison Bumgarner. You don't need to have 3-4 aces. You need an offense that can hit with runners in scoring position. And I think that the guys they do have, they have enough bats to make some noise. You can't do without Mookie Betts. If he's injured, this season is over. You can look to 2024 already, but I think that Mookie is going to be just fine, and I think that this offense still thinks they can go and make things interesting. But right now, it's pretty unbelievable when you look at where this team is now from a week ago. We're talking about beating the Braves and finishing with the best record in the National League and Mookie winning the MVP. Now this really, hopefully, doesn't hurt Mookie's MVP bid too much, but I think if he does have to miss some time, I think you can kiss that MVP goodbye. But that is where we're at with this pitching staff. Hopefully, we'll get some good news about something soon. But right now, I don't know if there's a monkey's paw somewhere in the locker room or something, some guy got a voodoo doll, or they sold their soul for the 2020 World Series or what. But this team has had a lot of bad luck, a lot of bad developments for their pitching of late. But that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram and TikTok at DMAC_LA. And let me know down below in the comments section, what is your reaction to Walker Buehler not returning this year? Do you think it was the right move? And also, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your concern level with the Dodgers pitching right now? Like I said earlier, I want to have one more thought, is that, look, this year, it feels like expectations are off. We've done the 111 win thing, right? We've done the Zach Greinke and Clayton Kershaw at the peak of their powers in the postseason thing. Both of them did not work. Let's get weird. Let's ride with the rookies. Let's see if we can make something happen and catch lightning in a bottle like they did in '88. So I'm still excited about the possibility of some of these young players getting their opportunities. I would say it does look bleak, but still, we're going to see if we have the building blocks to our future here with the Dodgers. But that's going to do it for this episode. Like I said, if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. It's really important. If you want us to post more content, you want us to do more giveaways, definitely do that. See you guys in a little bit. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.